So we got LFR family. Why do you hate conservatives? All right. Now, I've already watched the video. All right. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on the topic. All right. The first thing I'm going to point out. So here's the thing. All right. It's not so much that the two sides has different views on different issues. That's not the main issue. At least I don't think it is. I think the main issue is the way they view each other. If you go to a conservative and you say, "What do you think about liberals?" you're going to get lots and lots of negativity. All right. You go to a liberal and you're going to say, "What do you think about conservatives?" Again, lots and lots of negativity. It's more to do with they think I'm horrible and I'm not. So that means I think they're horrible because they have that negative view of me where they don't even know me. Okay. So they're bad because I'm not bad. They think I'm bad. I'm not bad. They're bad. And it's the same thing on both sides. Either side you're on, um, that tends to be the trend. So yes, they do have very different views, all right, on different issues and politics and who's right and who's wrong and who knows what they're talking about and who don't. So that goes into play as well. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's more about how they view each other. Okay, that's where the big problem comes into play. And you're going to see that. Like, as we're going through this video, watch how she tries to explain why the other side doesn't like conservatives. And in doing that, she's going to throw a lot of shade at the liberals. Okay? Where if a liberal was to make the same type of video, why do you not like liberals? And that's something that we might also look for. Um, Again, it would be the same type of rhetoric. And this rhetoric right here, I think, is where the problem is. Instead of focusing on, you know, the issues that are actually important.
Name is I can never pronounce her name. What's her daggone name, bro? Amala. God dang it, I don't know her name, but I know she a cutie pie.
I do
Amala
got to agree
Amala
with that.
Punobi.
All right.
Punobi.
Why do you hate conservatives?
that's, that's for you, Tim. That's for Tim. That's for Tim and Emily. That's who that's for.
Well, let's not say hate. Let's say dislike, because you don't really hate anyone. You may dislike them because they want to ban abortion. Conservatives say they're all for freedom, but when it comes to a woman's freedom to choose what she wants to do with her own body, they sing a different tune. You may dislike them because they want to ban abortion.
So this first point, we're going to really go into this. And here's the problem, I think, with abortion. What irritates me is that they never go into detail exactly what they're talking about. Like, you can't have an intelligent conversation about abortion without talking about what does abortion actually mean to you. All right. uh because understand, I think when people are pro-choice, I think a lot of times they're talking about like birth control, morning after pills, different things like that. They're not actually talking about having a child and then, fully formed child, right? And then have an abortion after you have, you know, so to me, those are two totally different things. Um, is a morning after pill actually abortion? You are terminating that that child. So technically it is an abortion. Although that's a, two totally different things. Um, so that's something I always want to get clarification on. If someone's going to say they're pro-abortion or they're pro-choice or whatever it is, I would like to have a debate with someone and really break that down and fully understand what it is they stand for on both sides. All right. The point that she's going to make here, um, it is an interesting point to bring up. I will definitely give her that. And keep in mind, I'm a lefty. Like, I don't see things the way conservatives do on most of the issues. Abortion, however, I take the conservative side on it. I am pro-life. I don't think you can have a fully formed child and then just say, well, I made a mistake. And then there's the whole argument of, yeah, well, I can't afford to have a child. You know what I'm saying? I can't take care of it properly. They have adoption for that. You can, the least you can do is have that baby and give it up for adoption. All right, I've seen it happen. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you made a mistake and now the price they're going to have to pay, you have to have that child. That is the least you can do. Bring that child into this world and hopefully someone will adopt that child and love him as if he was their own. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with being adopted. So that whole argument's out the window. You know what I'm saying? It just is.
Conservatives say they're all for freedom, but when it comes to a woman's freedom to choose what she wants to do with her own body, they sing a different tune.
This right here is a very interesting point. Conservatives say they're all about freedom, right? But when it comes to the mother's right to choose, now we say, you don't have freedom to do that. You know what I'm saying? And the point she's getting ready to bring up, though, is that the freedom or the rights that they're protecting is the rights of that baby. That's the rights and the freedoms that they are protecting, and it's worth protecting. So here is my question for the liberals who are pro-abortion. So here's my question to you. Because keep in mind, I try and stay in the middle. All right. But I lean more to the left, only because a lot of the views I share with the left. All right. So the question I'd like to have answered, all right, for anyone who is pro-abortion, do you have a problem with CPS? So CPS is there to advocate for children, to make sure they're provided for, to make sure they're not abandoned, abused, or anything like that. So it is overall a good agency. So what my question to you is, if you are pro-abortion, at what point do you think CPS should get involved and say, hey, wait a minute. Like, you can't just go and do anything to harm the livelihood of this child, because then we're going to have some serious problems. All right. So at what point do you think that should happen? So I think if it's a fully formed child, then perhaps CPS should have authority to step in and say, you cannot, whatever you're doing is jeopardizing the health of this baby. Okay. So that's my philosophy on it.
You may dislike them because they oppress people of color and deny the fact that America is systemically racist.
Wow. They oppress people of color and they deny the fact that America is systemically racist.
So now we get to the point to where I can show you this, okay? The negative, uh, the instant negativity, okay? Um, so here's the way I look at this, okay? If we were to go and say, let's examine laws, let's make sure laws are being fair to, to everybody, regardless of what culture, what color, what, where they come from, no matter what, let's make sure they're all fair. Let's make sure they all get fair treatment. Uh, that is in our Constitution. Okay? So the way I look at it is, what is the harm in asking the question? Are there any laws that should be examined and looked at, and then to say, hey, wait a minute, this law, um, doesn't protect the rights of certain people, and that law, so that law is unconstitutional, and we should fight against that law. So I don't think just by asking that question is to say, oh, well, America is systemically racist. Oh, well, a person of a certain color could never get a fair trial in whatever area or anything like that. That's what they automatically jump to. Just by, it seems to me, anyways, that just by saying, hey, wait a minute, let's take a look at this, let's make sure everything is fair. And then they're saying, well, hey, wait a minute, you're just trying to say America is racist, and it's not. And so, do you see what I'm saying? So that right there is kind of like, it's an instant negativity. And then what also happens is, when you have the conservatives saying, well, America is not systemically racist, then the liberals hears that, and then they think, so you don't want to examine any of these laws at all. You just want to say, well, America's not racist, and move on. See what I'm saying? So I think what should happen is we should all learn to start listening more and start expressing our virtues and what we're trying to say better, more specifically. And instead of just saying, I think we have some problematic laws, tell us what the laws are. Tell us exactly this law and this law and this law are, whatever the problems are with them, and point that out, and then have the other side go, oh, wait a minute, that is a problem. I don't stand with that. So we should all fight against that law, right? That's not to say, oh, wait a minute, so that means America is racist. It's not what that means at all. Just because we might find a certain law that is unconstitutional, or that, if we look at stop and frisk, how about that one? I think that was wrong. So does that mean I think America is racist? No, it doesn't. It means I think that law was put in place because of racial stereotypes. Because of the 1350, that's why that law was put into place. You know what I'm saying? So the two are unrelated.
That is a great point right there. But I'm certain she's about to point out why that is not the case. Yeah, I'm listening, man. Now, when you listen to these videos, when you watch these videos, please watch them objectively. If you do not like conservatism or conservatives, then this is probably a really good place to be. PragerU like to teach people. I love the fact that they school people. Now you can feel free to debunk it all you want, but try to learn something while you're here.
That's what I'm here to do on both parts. I'm here to debunk the stuff I think is wrong, um, but not really debunk, just sort of give explanations to things I think they might have misunderstood from the other side. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the real issue takes place. All right. So it's easy for someone to hear someone talk, right? And then start just assuming they know everything they're talking about. They hear them say, yeah, well, we're pro choice. Oh, that means you like to kill infants, right? After they're bored, you just want to go kill them. Maybe not. Maybe they're just talking about morning after pills. Maybe they're talking about birth control. Maybe they're talking about before there's a heartbeat. Maybe they're talking about only certain, extreme situations. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Get to the bottom, get to the facts, and then make up your mind. And then say, I can understand what you're saying now, that, you know, in certain extreme situations, it might be the best thing for the patient. All right. But you can still disagree with them at the same time, but at least understand exactly what they're trying to say. Don't just assume, you hear certain things and then you're going, I know exactly the type, I know exactly what they're trying to say, because maybe you don't. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say, yeah, but that doesn't really tell me anything about your beliefs and how and why you feel that way.
Conservatives say that everybody is equal regardless of race, and that racism has little to no effect on the daily lives of people of color.
All right, we really got to break this one down. So, conservatives say racism has little to no effect on our daily lives. So, and here's the thing though, that is subjective, okay? That is based on their personal life experiences. If you grew up in rough neighborhoods, okay, and you saw, people getting harassed for no reason, you saw all these things, that's going to tend to make you think they're doing that because they're black. All right. They're pulling him over because he's black. They're messing with him because of a certain way he looks. Okay. That's going to have an impact on your belief system. Okay. So I don't think we should knock anyone and bash them, right? Just because they think a certain way about this. You have people that's grown up in great neighborhoods and have never seen that type of disparity. All right. So they're not going to probably see it that way. They've not seen it. They see it on TV and then they're going to think, well, that's blown out of proportion. It's not really like that. Although for that, I say, listen to more rap music. Let's, look at NWA. Look at how their music, a lot of it was talking about, the issues that they were dealing with. All right. And I mean, it's across the board. You can look at a lot of rappers that were talking about all these things. Listen to their music and find the ones that were talking about how society was for them. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it is there. you know, but then again, when I hear this, where they're saying, and that doesn't affect me, right? Like this whole racial disparity, that doesn't affect me at all. That's totally fine. That, like I said, that's subjective. That's based on your personal experience. Uh, there's nothing wrong with that. So you can have, uh, for example, let's imagine Florida is getting hit with a huge hurricane, right? There's a huge hurricane coming. You need to board up your windows, take off. It's not safe here, right? And then let's imagine you're in California. Uh, you walk outside while the hurricane is hitting, and then you're going, "It looks fine here. I don't know what they're talking about. There's no problem here, right? They must be crazy." Yeah, well, that's all. That's a whole different area. You know what I'm saying? So just because you walk outside and it looks clear as day and there's nothing going on, that doesn't mean that's the same thing everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? So understand that point as well. Just because someone has a different experience than you, don't just count them out and say, "Yeah, well, you're wrong," because that's not how things are. Unless you grew up right next to that person and went through everything they did, how do you know? You know what I'm saying? So I would have them break that down and really go into it. What is it that makes you think you were treated differently because of how you look? What exactly was it? And then start to go into that. You know what I'm saying? Now, an interesting thing that I went through, uh, because I had a junky car, basically. It was a 1980 station wagon. Um, the color of it was rust. Okay, that's how old it was. All right. Uh, I mean, it was not a great looking car. It was 1980s. All right. And I constantly got pulled over, and the cop told me, "Do you realize you're in a high drug area?" And because of the way my car looked, they thought, well, he's probably a drug dealer. And, of course, at nighttime, you can't really see, who it is that's driving. But the point is, they were pulling me over because of how my car looked. That is, and then to bring that up, oh, well, you're in a high drug area, right? And it's, what was it, like 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. But I worked third shift at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? I was going home for lunch. But because it was really early in the morning in a high drug area and I'm out driving around, that's why they stopped me. Just to make sure, I'm not a drug dealer. They were talking about searching my car. And I was like, go right ahead if you want to. I really don't care. Like, I'll be late for work because I work at Walmart. But if it'll make you feel better, they didn't search it at the end of the day, but they were thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's crazy, y'all. It really is. Uh, so the point of that story is just to say that if they could profile someone because of the area they live in and the type of car they're driving, for me, it's not a stretch to think, if they seen a black guy walking down the same street, they would, that same, stop and frisk type of thing, right? He's got to be up to something. It's not right.
So, they just ignore the issue altogether. You may dislike them.
And that's the problem. A lot of people say, why are you ignoring something that's getting us killed in the street every single day by the police? And you're like, every day? Well, every other day, every other day, every other week, every other week, every other month, every year. There you go. Maybe once a year. maybe twice a year.
But that doesn't mean it's not worth talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because it is. Every single injustice should be talked about. It should be addressed. You know, this person did that to someone and they shouldn't have, and that was wrong, and we need to address it. The point of it is to say, if we, you know, I look at air disasters, okay? So that is where I do most of my research into. That is, I love aviation. And one of the things they say a lot of times after every significant plane crash or every significant incident, let's learn from it. Let's learn from our mistakes and make sure it never happens again. So to me, when we have incidents of police brutality, if anything like that, when we're addressing that, it's not to point it out and say, oh, look at how racist America is. We're so horrible and evil. That's not the case at all. It's to say, let's make sure we don't have any other bad apples in there. Let's make sure we're training them and looking for signs that's going to tell us, wait a minute, they're not interacting with certain people appropriately. You know what I'm saying? That would be a good indication. So I really think, you know, having undercover officers to where, you know, that would be a good thing. To have them, you know, go out and work with other officers without them knowing that they're undercover, that they're there to do silent reporting on their fellow officers. You know what I'm saying? If that way, if they see anything that looks odd or suspicious, they can report it and they can get to the bottom of it. So, also, possibly something that's even better than that is to require every single law enforcement officer to have body cameras on at all times. Where they're motion activated, sound activated, something. And they shouldn't be able to turn them off. That's my philosophy on that. To me, if you intentionally turn off a body camera so that, you know, for anything, I think that could be grounds for tampering with physical evidence. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they would get us for that if someone had a videotaping device. If we want to do a criminal activity and we smash that tape or whatever it is, they're going to charge us with tampering with physical evidence. That's the same damn thing. You know, but they could do it left and right. I don't think that's right. So I think transparency is the way we want to go. That not only protects the citizens, it protects the cops as well. Because if the cops are doing their jobs right, there should be evidence backing that up. You know what I'm saying? Because criminals aren't always going to be honest. That's obvious. And when criminals want to lie and, you know, make up stories, oh, they didn't read me my rights. They didn't read me my rights correctly. They didn't do this or they didn't do that. Yeah, well, there's evidence of that the officer had no way of turning it off. You know what I'm saying? And if someone's camera malfunctions or stops recording or whatever else, dispatch should get a notification on that. They should have to come back and get a brand new camera that's going to work. They shouldn't be allowed to be out there with a malfunctioning camera. Because like I said, that's going to protect them and it's going to protect everybody else. If cops know that all the time that they're spending interacting with, you know, civilians, whether or anything else, if they know that everything they do is documented and they can't turn it off, there's going to be a lot less corruption. You know what I'm saying? A lot less. And that is something I think that's worth addressing. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, but this is a lot of stuff that people like to ignore because they don't believe with conservatism because of based off what they've been taught. And they haven't been taught anything. It's just like, don't watch them, watch us. And you like, okay, MSNBC. Oh,
I do agree with that. Anyone that says, don't watch this thing over here, that's bad for you. I'm probably not going to watch that thing anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because that's divisive. That is saying, everyone else is bad, but I'm okay. All right? I do not agree with that at all. I think, uh, whatever news outlet you watch, I don't think you should be trashed for it. You know what I'm saying?
I will follow you and you only.
Now, this point, I didn't quite catch it. So I'm going to rewatch this part and see if I can understand what she's trying to say here.
They don't believe in climate change. Scientists keep telling us we're overheating the planet, and conservatives don't seem to care.
The thing about that, I think, is that conservatives don't believe in climate change. You know what I'm saying? They don't see the proof in it. But for me, the way I see it, like the proof is everywhere. All right. Uh, the hurricanes, as I've previously brought up, the forest fires, all right. So natural disasters, I think, are like they're constantly getting worse. All right. Uh, but then again, you get a conservative, then they're going to say, oh, they blow it out of proportion. Oh, that's fake news. All right. But at the same time, what my response to that would be, well, do you actually watch when there's events like that going on and verify that it's not fake news? You know what I'm saying? Like if they say Florida's being evacuated because of a hurricane, do you attempt to go to Florida and verify? Yes, they're all leaving Florida. You cannot get into Florida right now. Do you do that? Or are you just going to sit back and go, fake news? Like, what's the deal? You know what I'm saying? So, if you could start to point those out and show, what, I want timestamps too. Go and pull something up and say, have them saying, right now, people are evacuating Florida. Go to Florida and show us. Nobody's evacuating. You know what I'm saying? But don't just show some random highway that has nothing to do with what's going on. Do some accurate reporting if that's what you want to do. All right. That's the way I look at it.
They're more concerned about profits than people. But what good is money if you have no planet to spend it on?
Now, see that this is what throws me off. Her final statement there, but what good is money if you have no planet to spend it on? That's taking the liberal side. That's taking the side of, we're trashing our planet to get more money. Right? And she just sided with them on that. So I'm a little confused as to why she took that route. And of course, like I've already said, a lot of us can share different belief systems from both sides. So that's not an issue at all. The only question I have is that actually her belief that the liberals are right on that issue? Okay. So that's what my question is. Which is it? What is her belief on that? Because it seems to me that at the conclusion she said, what good is money if you have no planet to spend it on? Wait, hold on.
Scientists keep telling us we're overheating the planet, and conservatives don't seem to care. They're more concerned about profits than people.
They're more concerned with profits than people. So that would definitely be from the liberal side, right?
Okay, you see it.
Overheating the planet, and conservatives don't seem to care. They're more concerned about profits than people.
Oh, hold on. The conservatives are saying this. See, look, I'm not perfect either. It takes me, sometimes I get things wrong as well. And that's what I've just caught. So you definitely have to look at the labels under each statement.
Believe in climate change. Scientists keep telling us we're overheating the planet, and conservatives don't seem to care. They're more concerned about profits than people.
So here's the conservative point of view. We're more concerned about profits than people. So it's not that they don't care about the environment. It's not that they don't care, about climate change or anything else. It's that they're worried more about profits. So again, as I've said, a lot of the research I do is into aviation. So I draw a lot of parallels through that, okay? Because I understand how that kind of stuff works, okay? So here's the way I view this. In aviation, they say you're either going to spend money here or spend lives later on, okay? There's no other option. You spend the money on maintenance, on proper procedures, proper maintenance, or if you don't do that, you're going to spend lives. And you're going to spend a lot of them. All right. So there's no other option. You either put in the work, put in the money, and do the job correctly by the book, okay, or you're risking the lives of the people that's on the planes, the lives of the passengers, the crew, the people on the ground that's below the planes, okay? You're risking everybody over profits. And that shouldn't happen. So that's the point of view I take with this. If an airline is more concerned with profits than people, then what's the outcome going to be? All right. They either catch it in time and make drastic changes and make them go by the book, or there's going to be a huge accident. And hopefully, the people that's involved in that incident will live to talk about it. A lot of times, that's not the case. So that's the issue I have with this take right here. Yes, profits are important. In the grand scheme of things, both sides are important. But my point of view is we shouldn't prioritize one side and say to hell with the other side, and vice versa. Both ways. They're both equally important. Yes, your livelihoods are important. Yes, all these things are important. But the climate and our environment is also important. All right? I mean, like, picture a store has this type of mentality. We value profits over people, right? Like, that's our mentality. We want to make as much profit, and we don't care about regulations. Regulations say we can't dump our chemicals, in the lake behind our store, right? Well, we don't care about that. We're going to dump it wherever the hell we want. right? We'll take our oil, we'll take everything, we'll just throw it out there in the lake, right? It's a lake. Who's going to care, right? But at the end of the day, they are risking the environment of everyone in that area that could contaminate their drinking water because that store wants to make as much profit as possible. All right. Both things are important. Yes, I understand they want to make as much profit as possible, but do it by the book. If the book says, and of course the book is going to say, you don't go pour chemicals in the lake somewhere. All right. That's not how to properly handle that type of chemical. Okay. You cannot do that. And by that's going to keep everyone in that area, that's going to keep them having clean drinking water. And that's very important. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if, what if someone had their house right behind the store they worked at, and then someone told them, go dump this in that lake, right? That's between your house and our store. Go just dump this right in that lake. And then they say, yeah, but that's right in my backyard. Like, I don't want to dump this out in my backyard. I kept wondering where all this junk is coming from, right? They're going to have a huge problem with that. They're like, you're the ones that's doing that? That's not okay. Like, I'm going to walk out and I'm going to call the city. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. So, at the end of the day, that's what's important to me. Go by the book. The regulations are there to keep people safe. You can care about profits and care about safety at the same time. And that's what you should do. You know what I'm saying? Overall, I like this guy right here. I like his content. We got a bunch of different views on things. I think that's okay. All right. Now, my message to you, because I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to show him the link to this video. Hopefully, you'll take a look. Let me know what you think. I think this is a great discussion to have. You know what I'm saying? Because you got someone here who's coming from the opposite side, and we're coming and trying to have a conversation, trying to sort of explain all these different rhetorics and different things like that of why, some of us might feel a certain way about certain things. You know what I'm saying? I think that's an important conversation to have. Also, I think when people are having debates, they don't ask good questions. They do not. And that, I think, has to change. Ask better questions. Ask more specific questions. All right? That, I think, is what we need to start doing. There's so many times I'll watch a debate and I'll get extremely aggravated when someone is getting steamrolled and they're getting upset and they can't get their, they're getting interrupted or whatever else. And I'm like, they don't know enough about being able to have a good debate. All right. And that's why they're getting steamrolled. It's not necessarily because they don't know what they're talking about. It's because they're not that good at debates. All right. I've never had a live debate. I think I definitely should. So, I'm just not exactly sure, who I would like to have a debate with right now. So here is your opportunity, right? If you're watching this and you think, you might like to have a debate with someone, you have the basis of some of the belief systems I have. Put in the comments and let me know. You want to have a debate? We'll have a debate. You pick a topic, we'll hash it out. You know what I'm saying? All right. That's it for now, y'all.